Why Trump won 2024? The untold truth. They said it was impossible. They said the polls had already decided. They said America was done with him. They were wrong. On election night 2024, America sent a shockwave through the world. Donald J. Trump won. The same people who told you there was no way, no how, are now scrambling for answers. Was it the economy, the border crisis, or was there something deeper, something the media refused to tell you? Tonight, we uncover the truth behind Trump's return to power. We'll expose the media's lies, the establishment's failures, and the silent majority that rose up to take back their country. This is the story they don't want you to hear. This is the story of how Donald Trump defied the odds and proved them all wrong, again. Let's be clear, Donald Trump didn't just win this election, Joe Biden lost it. For 4 long years, Americans suffered under the weight of the Biden administration. They told you it was transitory inflation, but you saw your grocery bills skyrocket. They told you it was a summer of love while cities burned and crime surged. They told you the border was secure as millions poured across, unchecked and unaccounted for. The American people were hurting, and the man in the White House seemed utterly detached. Joe Biden, the man who campaigned on unity and competence, presided over one of the most divisive and incompetent administrations in American history. His approval ratings plummeted faster than the stock market during a recession. Every public appearance brought a new gaffe, a new stumble, a new reason to question whether he was really up to the job. Even traditional Democratic voters, the working-class families, the Latinos, the suburban moms who were supposed to be the backbone of the Democratic Party, felt abandoned. They saw their jobs disappear, their neighborhoods decline, their values under attack. They saw a president who seemed more interested in appeasing the radical left than representing the forgotten men and women of this country. So when voters stepped into the voting booth, they weren't just choosing Donald Trump, they were rejecting Joe Biden. They were rejecting the failed policies, the empty promises, the sheer incompetence of his presidency. This election wasn't just about the future, it was about sending a message, and that message was loud and clear. America had had enough. For years, the media, the Democrats, the entire Washington establishment dismissed Trump supporters as a basket of deplorables, a loud, angry, but ultimately insignificant minority. They called them racist, sexist, xenophobic, every name in the book. They mocked them, ridiculed them, and tried to silence them. But what they didn't understand, what they refused to understand, was that this wasn't just about Donald Trump. It was about a movement of everyday Americans who felt ignored, betrayed, and forgotten by the elites in Washington. These were the people who built this country, who fought its wars, who played by the rules, and they were tired of being told they were the problem. The media, blinded by their own arrogance, completely missed the story. They ignored the rallies, the packed town halls, the millions of Americans who saw in Donald Trump a fighter, a champion for the forgotten man. They underestimated the silent majority again. Rural America, written off as a lost cause, turned out in record numbers. Independent voters, fed up with both parties, swung towards Trump's economic message. Even minority support for Trump rose, with more Latinos and Black voters rejecting the Democrats' empty promises and embracing Trump's message of jobs, opportunity, and law and order. This election was a repudiation of the media's lies, the Democrats' condescension, and the establishment's contempt for the American people. It was a victory for the forgotten men and women of this country, the ones who finally found a voice in Donald J. Trump, and they weren't going to let anyone silence them again. Chapter 3. Let's be honest. When it comes down to it, people vote with their wallets. And under Joe Biden, America's wallet was hurting. Inflation was at a 40-year high. Gas prices were through the roof. Grocery bills were breaking the bank. The American dream was slipping further and further out of reach for millions of families. Meanwhile, Donald Trump had a simple, powerful message. We did it before, we'll do it again. He reminded voters of the booming economy he created before the pandemic, the lowest unemployment rates in history, the tax cuts that put more money in their pockets. He promised to unleash American energy, bring back manufacturing jobs, and stand up to China's unfair trade practices. It was a message that resonated with voters who were struggling to make ends meet, who were tired of watching their paychecks shrink while the cost of living skyrocketed. They remembered the economic boom under Trump, and they yearned for a return to those days. The Democrats tried to paint Trump's economic policies as a giveaway to the rich, but the American people weren't buying it. They knew that when the economy was strong, everyone benefited. They knew that Trump was a businessman, a builder, someone who understood how to create jobs and prosperity. In the end, the economy was the deciding factor for millions of voters. They rejected the Biden administration's failed policies and embraced Trump's promise to restore American greatness. They voted for the economy they remembered, not the one they were struggling in. Chapter 4. If there was one issue that encapsulated the Biden administration's failures more than any other, it was the border. Under Joe Biden, the southern border became a sieve. Millions of illegal immigrants poured across, overwhelming border patrol, straining resources and flooding communities across the country. The mainstream media, predictably, downplayed the crisis. They called it a challenge, a humanitarian situation, anything but what it really was, an invasion. They ignored the stories of American citizens living in fear, of overwhelmed border towns, of fentanyl pouring across the border, poisoning our communities. But the American people weren't fooled. They saw the images of chaos and lawlessness at the border. They heard the stories of migrants being released into the country without even being tested for COVID. They watched as the Biden administration seemed helpless, or worse, unwilling to do anything to stem the tide. Donald Trump, on the other hand, offered a clear and simple solution: finish the wall. He reminded voters of his tough stance on illegal immigration, his commitment to enforcing our laws, his promise to put America first. It was a message that resonated with voters who were tired of feeling like their country was being given away, who were worried about the impact of uncontrolled immigration on their communities, their schools, their way of life. They saw in Trump a leader who would finally secure the border and restore order. By election night, states like Arizona, Nevada, and even parts of California saw record Republican turnout, driven by voters who were fed up with the Biden administration's open borders policies. The border crisis, once a regional issue, had become a national referendum on Joe Biden's presidency. Chapter 5. From the moment he came down that escalator, the media declared war on Donald Trump. They called him a racist, a sexist, a Russian asset. They mocked him, ridiculed him, and accused him of everything under the sun. They spent 4 years trying to destroy his presidency, and when that failed, they tried to destroy him personally. The Russia hoax, the impeachment trials, the January 6th hearings, it was one manufactured scandal after another. Every day, a new bombshell, a new outrage, a new reason to hate Donald Trump. They threw everything they had at him, hoping something would stick. But here's the thing about Donald Trump. The more they attacked him, the stronger he got. Every lie, every smear, every hit piece only solidified his support among his base. They knew the media was lying, they knew the establishment was out to get him, and they rallied around him even more fiercely. The legal battles in particular backfired spectacularly. Every indictment, every subpoena, every attempt to silence him only made him seem more sympathetic to his supporters. They saw a man who was being persecuted for his beliefs, a victim of a political witch hunt. And you know what? Even undecided voters started to see it that way. They might not have liked Trump's style, but they could see the double standard. They could see that the media and the Democrats were playing a different set of rules, that they were willing to do anything to stop him. By the end, the constant attacks, the legal harassment, the endless barrage of negativity had the opposite effect of what the media intended. It didn't weaken Trump, it made him stronger. It didn't diminish his support, it galvanized it. Outro. Donald Trump's 2024 victory wasn't just about one man, it was about a movement. A movement of Americans who refused to be silenced, who refused to be ignored, who refused to let their country be taken from them. This movement defied the polls, defied the media, defied the entire Washington establishment. They turned economic pain, border chaos, and political distrust into fuel for a historic comeback. They proved that the silent majority is real, and they are a force to be reckoned with. But here's the real question: what happens next? Will Trump's second term deliver on his promises? Will he be able to drain the swamp, rebuild the economy, and restore America's standing in the world? Or will the opposition, more determined than ever, fight tooth and nail to stop him? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on the biggest political events shaping our world. This is Mindbender's YouTube channel. Stay sharp, stay informed, and stay ahead.